This is Judge Deborah Gibbons from Yuba County. Judge, what have you learned or heard at this conference so far that surprises you or that you didn't know before?
Well, one thing I never appreciated was the difference between a crisis and a trauma, or a traumatic event, if you will. And it's interesting that, we've learned one can move on from a crisis, but trauma, either a singular episode or a reoccurring event, is really quite debilitating. And how critical it is for us to be sensitive to that and address those needs that individuals may have that come before us.
Let's continue. We're giving you a glass of water. It's being recorded. We're not going to use it. I might use your questions in case there is a hiccup later.
Okay. How might some of your clients benefit from trauma-informed care?
Well, clients that I see, whether it's defendants in the criminal justice system and those participating in drug court, for example, or I also handle the juvenile calendar, including dependencies. I see children and adults that are resistant, if you will, to participating in therapy. And I see with so many of those individuals how absolutely critical therapy is. Perhaps they've had a negative experience with it, and from what we saw this morning, you may have to go try different therapies or different therapists and different ways of doing business. It's not a cookie-cutter model.
What do you think that you will take away from this training, and what will you do with that information?
Well, for example, those that may be resistant, I think it's very important for the court to encourage participation, not force it, but encourage those who are working with the individual in treatment or probation to think outside the box. Maybe another model is appropriate. Another individual working with that person, for example, in therapy, is critical. I've also taken away, the screening, trauma screening, how absolutely critical that is with the people that come before us, and how important it is for probation, for example, to include this. I understand it is available, and it's easy to use, and very importantly, it's free. This is something we just must incorporate, and if we don't, we are not doing the service to the individuals that we see. I also believe that I always think of the players as, the team that meets in my chambers in the morning, and an overlooked critical player is someone like our bailiff. I had not appreciated that before. And it's true. They are, initially, the first ones to contact our clients before they even come into the courtroom. Or they're there to greet the people that come before the court in the morning while they're waiting for court to begin. I know what, as the presiding judge of my court, I'm going to be meeting with the sheriff and discuss the requirement that not only the bailiff in the drug court, but every bailiff assigned to our courtroom is some trauma-informed education, training, because they play such a critical role, and including this, the way to avoid re-traumatizing individuals. It's awfully important. It's something very practical that we can put into effect earlier, not later, and so I'm very excited about it.
That goes into our last question. Are there any other ways that you think that your staff or colleagues could utilize this information?
I think colleagues as well. That's another, when you're presiding over a treatment or a collaborative court, we really do try to look, outside the box, try to think outside the box. We're able to be more creative. I think educating all the judges with trauma-informed care, because they're going to see them, whether it's in a criminal court, in a family law court, in the juvenile court, and actually in the civil court, having sat in that court as well. It's important for us to do our jobs effectively, improve the service we provide, improve the access to justice to the litigants that come before the court, that we're aware of this. And so that's another training I'd like to incorporate with my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Judge Gibbons. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
So